and welcome to a Podful of Saints on Tuesday, the 29th of November 2022. I thought you're stifling a yawn already there, Jake. I mean, give us a couple of minutes, goodness sake. Well, with myself, David Tavener, and the sleepy Jake Ellacott over there.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Lee. Hello, everyone.
And the hello, Lee, is Lee Wood. Good evening, Lee.
David, so if he's sleepy and you're grumpy, which one am I?
Alcoholic.
Fair enough. Not going to argue with that, mate. Crack on.
Right, we've got one game to look back on, one game to preview. This is good. So it's just gone 5:30. Should have dinner on by 5:45. Right. Going back last Friday. Go back last Friday. We had that magnificent England performance. Utterly shameful. Followed by a game on Saturday. Wasn't an awful lot better, to be truthful. But there were more chances. A 3-0 win. We brought to an end our run of 3 successive defeats and went back up to 6 in National League South. Do you want to kick it off, Jake?
Yeah. On the face of it, it's a very good win, isn't it? And that's all you want at the end of the day. 3 goals, 3 points. But I think we can probably say we didn't play at our best at times, but then at other times we were quite controlling. And I said this to Lee, and we'll go into the detail of what happened in the game, but I said to Lee midway through the second half, you know, there's not many times in recent years where we've been down, you know, the opposition have had 10 men and we've been fairly comfortably in the lead and it's all looking pretty good. So I think that's a compliment to Nobby. And yeah, I thought it was just, and I think the important thing is, finally at home, the Saints home crowd have seen a win and some goals. The style of football might not be amazing, but I think it's very important to finally, as you say, turn around that poor form at home. So yeah, overall, positives.
Yeah, the football was far from amazing. I thought it was one of the most boring games I've seen. And I saw you two at half time, and you weren't exactly impressed. You thought Bath were the better side in that first half, and they went in 2-0 down. And what was your opinion at 90 minutes, Lee?
I think the contest was over after the second goal went in. But I think sort of just rewinding slightly, I think after the Eastbourne game, the one thing you did want was a response from the players, and they certainly got that. You know, I thought we were lucky to be going in 2-0 up. Very, very soft penalty, clever penalty, but very soft nonetheless. And Jake and I were still arguing whether it was a red card for their second goal in the pub afterwards. So, but as soon as that goes in, the game as a contest was very much finished. And as Jake said, we controlled the second half, created a couple of half chances, and the 3-0, the goal from Mitchell, just sort of put the cherry on top of the cake, really. But ultimately, bar the first 10, 15 minutes, I don't think we were really tested as such. You know, Bath came here to play football, but ultimately, early penalty, early red card, that soon sort of seen to them, really.
That penalty was a shocking decision. He said it was clever. Shaun Jeffers stuck his foot into the defender. The defender was totally innocent. It's horrible to see penalties won that way. I know we're not the only team that do it. It's the way football is now, and it's just awful, and you wish it'd be kicked out of the game. The referee bought it. He gave a penalty. The penalty wasn't the greatest. A couple of bounces before it went in under the keeper. And the sending off, the defender, was it Danny Greenslade who was coming round? So the guy who got sent off, whose name escapes me at the moment, so I've got the wrong sheet in front of me. Like you, I think it was a somewhat harsh sending off after a somewhat harsh penalty as well.
Interesting. I thought the red card on my first prediction, and I can see why the referee gave it. I thought it was red because 1 yard further inside the box, that's a penalty and a yellow card. But when watching back on the highlights, you can see that defender covering, can't you? So I think the only thing you say was Joe Neal going to get a shot away because we know him. You'd probably say maybe not, but obviously the referee doesn't. So the referee maybe thinks he's going to get a shot off almost straight away. So harsh on Bath. I thought again, Dylan Berry made a couple of pretty good saves first half. After we went 1-0 up and Bath took control of the game despite being behind. Dylan again proving why he's already one of the better keepers at this level, I think, already. So important saves there. And to say second goal, that free kick, whether the red card was a red card or not, harsh on Bath. Free kick, absolutely superbly put away by Shaun Jeffers, wasn't it? To get it where he did, even on the keeper's side, absolutely brilliant.
It's funny that free kick, which is a great strike, great goal, no two words about it. But there's so many similarities to that and the disallowed free kick against Taunton Town earlier in the season. That time it was Ches Isaac who got pulled up for being, was it less than a yard away from the wall when he moves. This time, Karen Wiltshire's on the end of it. He gives the defender a shove as he runs off. So if we'd had the same referee against Taunton, that goal probably wouldn't have stood. Isn't it funny? Great goal. That's what will be remembered rather than what happened in the wall.
Yeah.
Were you? I mean, the one thing I would like to sort of put to you, Taz, is I was quite impressed with the way that we saw out the game, because as soon as we sort of go down to 10 men or are facing 10 men, sometimes we do panic a little bit and we overthink things. But I don't know whether you was as impressed as I was, just the calmness and the maturity of how we played in the second half. We didn't give them a sniff, and we saw the game out without any real sort of like tests, really.
I don't know, Lee. I was asleep. It was so boring. we went backwards and sideways so many times. I thought the England game was still being played. It's a modern game. It's horrible, most of it. You would like to see us attack. When Nobby first took over as manager, he did attack more. He put 2 players up on the halfway line. I know I've been over this point before. 2 players up when we were defending corners, 2 on the halfway line. Bath had a corner, bang on 2 minutes, their first corner on Saturday. Every single one of our 11 players was in our own 18-yard box. So if the ball does get headed away, where's it going to go to? It's going to go to a Bath player and come straight back in to put us under pressure. Why not put the opposition on the back foot and chuck 2 men up front again? It worked at Hampton rather well.
I think it's a good question. I think it's something with. Is it him reacting to? Was it a few weeks ago? Was it the Weymouth home game where we conceded a couple of corners? I don't know if it's reaction to that, but it is a strange one. But then, most people would say we still scored 3 goals, didn't we? So and that's still more than we scored in any of Ian's games. And what I would say to Lee, I think that's a really good point about seeing the game out, even though it was boring. You have to think back to the Cheshunt away game earlier this season. They went a man down. We scored 2 quick goals, but then they got one back. And they really should have got an equaliser at the end because we panicking. Whereas you didn't see that on Saturday. And I think that, again, that is an improvement there. And I did as well want to mention one moment that Bath did have midway through the second half. Joy McKenna made an absolutely superb clearance at the back post. I don't know how he managed to get it away. I think that just shows, again, it's another clean sheet, isn't it? And it, sure, it's against 10 men, but it's...
For me, though, Jake, it's under Nobby. Bearing in mind it's only been a few months, but we've won ugly.
Yes.
We've won playing good football. We've won seeing games out. We've used our intelligence at various sort of phases as well. So under Nobby, we've shown that we can toe all the facets to win a game of football. And that's going to sit us in really good stead, isn't it, over the course of the next few months as well.
We also lost 3 in the trot going into Saturday.
Yes, but you're only as good as your last game, David, are you not?
We are, and if you look at our league record, the last 4 league games, 4 league games, 1, 2, 3, no, 5 league games. We've got 4 wins in there. So the cup games, it's not nice going out of cups because we desperately need to win a cup. But it's a long time since we had one. But the league form, you keep carrying on like that. Well, you can be challenging for a playoff position all season.
Well, all you have to do is look at the table, don't you? Compare it to where we were before Noble came in. We're up to 6th. I don't think, the way we were going under Ian, I don't think I ever expected us to be inside the top 7 at any point this season. So it's much improved, and I know it's a cliche, but those casual fans that want to come to Clarence Park, when they think of going to the Saints and they look at that league table, they think, we might be in for a good game here. So it's important that we move up that table, and as you say, Nobby's record in the league speaks for itself at the moment.
Yeah, 11 games, 20 points. We'll take that.
It's not bad at all, is it? And Lee says the different ways of winning. It's not just one sort of type of knobby ball that some of our supporters call it. There's loads of different ways of going into games. And as we keep saying, he's learning his way, isn't he? But what I thought as well good about Saturday was he was a little bit bold with the team selection as well, especially bringing in young Ben Smith from the start.
Yeah, he's done it a couple of times lately, and You'd like to see him stick with that, really, wouldn't you? Ben, he's still learning the game, still a youngster, but he's one there to pin our hopes on. We talked about him before. You may have seen Shaun Jeffers got into the National League South Team of the Week for touching the ball twice, I think he did on Saturday. And obviously, Dylan Berry caught the eye. Some good saves in there. Anybody else catch the eye for you on Saturday?
Look at Lee.
You are the most cantankerous sod sometimes, Dave, I tell you. Getting back to Smith, I would say that, as you say, he's learning his game, from each sort of match that he plays. He got brushed off the ball a bit easily in the first half. But again, he showed great awareness. He showed great strength at times. And he's certainly one for the future. But I think we've got to use him sparingly as well. Because it's going to get tougher for him. The opposition are going to sort of work him out sooner or later. But I think Nobby knows that, obviously. I thought, as you say, Jeffers, it was very easy to sort of, lump praise on him, but I thought he had one of his quieter games, if I'm honest, taking out, the 2 goals. I thought Joe Neal looked a little bit lively, but ultimately it was a really good performance from the whole collective. Because we do get overrun. For God's sake, if Bath were to have got a goal back, the panic would have soon set in. We've seen it before, time and time again, because these are the same sets of players. But ultimately, I was really impressed as a collective how mature we were and how we've grown under Nobby as well. So to pick out one individual probably wouldn't be just, because no one really shone as such. There were a couple of players who were quite wasteful in the box when the chances came to them. But I think overall, I think it's the collective performance that I was so pleased with.
Yeah, and I've now discovered the name of the player who got sent off. It was Jordan Dyer. He likes helping us. He was sent off this year down the park. Last year he scored an own goal. So if we can get him to play for Dover Saturday, we're in.
I thought, again, Saturday, before we move on, I thought Nobby's substitutions were pretty good. Even though we were winning and comfortable by then, I thought to bring on Hugh and give him some game time, and not necessarily going into a defensive formation, just changing the shape a little bit. Again, shows that Nobby is not afraid to make those changes to the team. And I thought overall, like Lee says, the whole group just worked really well. And there wasn't really many negatives for me. And I think we mentioned it last week. Again, the importance of someone else on the score sheet up front that can score goals, with Mitch as well. Even though it was an easy tap-in after Callum Adebayo's juggling of the ball in the box.
What was he doing there? What was he doing there? Cow. Skills, mate. Skills.
Right. So there we are. 6 in the table, sitting pretty. We didn't expect it. Bath 7 games unbeaten away from home going into last Saturday. So, whatever you think of the performance, it's a very good result, really. But you've got to lose some time when you're on a winning run or an unbeaten run. Right. We look forward to Saturday then. Would you make any changes? Because you talked about using Ben Smith a bit sparingly, Lee. Chuck that one in then.
Yeah, I mean, the obvious choice was to bring Dawson in, but I think it's quite evident that Nobby likes Smith, and it'll be good to. It's going to be a whole completely different game down at Dover. I imagine they're going to be a lot stronger, tougher to break down as well. So maybe I wouldn't be surprised if Dawson starts over Smith, but it just depends whether we're going to play to our strengths. And he does like Smith in the middle of the park there, picking those passes apart. So would he keep the same side? I think he might, but I wouldn't be surprised if he bulks up the midfield a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dover actually 4 games without a win, 1 win in 7, no win in their last 3 home games. And also got relegated at the end of last season, so they're not exactly setting the world alight this season. You just wonder, they might be a bit short on confidence. Do you go for them, or do we play our thou shall not lose mentality?
I think we're under Nobby, our best away performances have come when we've tried to just win games, hasn't it? It's not when we just try and lose. or sorry, try and draw or pick up a point. Because when you look at Eastbourne away a few weeks ago, a game that on the paper I think we could have probably got out of, but the way we played just wasn't conducive to getting any shots on target. So I don't think you can play in that style at Dover because we know they're going to be difficult. As you say, their form at the moment isn't amazing, but they picked up a win on Saturday at Hampton. Although it was only 2-0, not everyone can score 6 down there.
Sorry, yes, one win in 5, not 4 without a win. Sorry, well spotted.
So it's going to be difficult, but as you say, I wouldn't be surprised to see Hugh Dawson come in. I think that's the one change we might see to the team. And of course, you expect Zane Banton to come back in, probably for Joe Neal after he was suspended against Bath. And, having a fresh Zane come into the team after a week off could be something that could really turn into a positive. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult. We know it is. They're not going to be any mugs over, but I think Nobby's got to go down there looking for 3 points.
Yeah, try and set Shaun up for some chances on goal. He's got 10 in the last 9 league games, and one more. He'll only become our second player to score 50 goals in National League South.
I mean, it's not long ago, is it, when we were talking about will he ever score again, or he's never going to hit those heights for us, and is he a flop after the new contract? I think he's proved us wrong, hasn't he?
But that also that coincides with a rejuvenated Banton as well, because he's been banging form, and the correlation between Banton playing in form and Jeffers scoring goals is there. He was a miss for me, Banton, on Saturday, and I think he's going to be coming back hungry. And just keen to hit the ground running against a poor Dover side, but a strong Dover side nonetheless.
And also another bonus there for Shaun is having Mitchell Weiss back in the side.
Yes. I think Shaun last season, his best spells came when he had an informed Mitchell and an informed Zane, and I think at the minute he's starting to get that again. Shaun can't carry the team on his own, can he? We know that he can't carry out miracles. So I think when he's got those players in and around him to lay the ball off to, get those passes from, I think Shaun is looking really good. And as you say, we know it's going to be difficult at Dover. But got to be confident.
Sorry, mate. Do you still think that there are people who believe that Shaun is carrying the entire side on his shoulders? Because the one thing I've seen this season under Nobby is that everyone's been chipping in now, and I think your argument would have stood up latter end of last season, maybe even the early part of this. But I think now the one thing that we would say confidently is that everyone's beginning to play their part, and it's not just on Shaun anymore. But I just wonder whether you think that he still believes that himself. The fact that he's trying to, is he trying too hard, as opposed to sort of just fitting into the system in the team?
Well, yeah, it's an interesting one. I suppose to answer that, I'd probably throw it back to the Hampton game. Lots of goals that evening. Shaun didn't get any. But I think you saw in the celebrations of every goal, he was right at the heart of it, going over to everyone that scored. I think since Nobby's come in, I think he knows that the players around him are able to score the goals now. And I think almost he's got that freedom again, hasn't he? I think you can see him playing with that bit of freedom of, I can find the back of the net, but I know other players will as well. And I think, a striker under a lot of pressure, I don't think is necessarily the best. So I think with him a bit more freedom and players around him as well, that I think we know he trusts, I think is the key.
He's got another good return this season, 14 in 24 games so far. 10 other players have got on the score sheet as well, which is backs up what you two were saying about spreading it around the side. And even our secret weapon, own goals, have chipped in with a couple as well. So it's good to see others getting in there, obviously. So it gives us a bit more threat. So we can leave some more up on the halfway line, and they might get a goal or two as well. Yes, Zane Banton's going to come in Saturday. I agree with you on that. Beyond that, you can't see any other changes, I don't think, really.
Would Devontae Stanley back in, potentially? Because did Michael Clark do much wrong on against Bath? I don't know.
And also, Ricardo Di Tolio has been dropped for the last couple as well, hasn't he? So you can't see him coming back in for that one, but no doubt he'd be on the bench again.
I suppose with Clark, I suppose it depends on, he's not played a lot of minutes, has he? So I suppose it depends on if Nobby wants to risk him. But then I suspect, Nobby and John Meeks put in a lot of work this week to see what tactically can work, because we can know if Dover have, let's say a weak left side, we know that Devontae can absolutely bomb down that right-hand side, especially if he's got Zane in front of him, and cause absolute worlds of trouble. So I think if Devontae is fit, I think we might potentially see him come in as well.
Yes. Okay, jolly good. Well, let's quickly get that one out of the way then. Let's have your predictions.
Well, I'm going to go 2-1 City.
I'll go 3-1 Saints for no reason. We better mention it's quite a unique kickoff time, isn't it? I mean, have we ever had a league game? When was the last time we had a league game kickoff for this time, Dave? Must be a long time ago.
Never had a league or a cup tie kickoff at 12:30.
So, what about?
As far as I can see.
When did I can see. Boreham Wood a couple of years ago?
I knew you were going to pick up on that one. Oh God, what season was it, Jake?
I don't know, 18, 19, 17, 18, somewhere around then.
Well, you two talk amongst yourselves, and I'll look that one up.
So yeah, it's going to be a nice early start for those Saints fans travelling down there, which would be delightful.
Did we not have an early kickoff when we played Hemel on Boxing Day?
Yeah, but usually 1 o'clock.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. 17, 18. Keep talking amongst yourselves.
This is podcast. That is absolute golden, isn't it? I mean,
I know.
This is why the couple of hundred people, God bless them, they tune in every single week to watch Dave tick through his pages of doom.
Well, I was hoping to put a dinner on by now.
While Dave does do that, Lee, can you see there's a little red scarf that's just appeared behind him suddenly, and it doesn't appear to be yellow and blue. What is that?
No, I believe this was a gift to Mr. D Tavener on Saturday. Do you want to elaborate, Dave, or?
Isn't it wonderful? Absolutely wonderful.
Oh no.
There we go. Now your mate Lewis gave me this. I can't fit it all in on the screen there very well. It's some German team. Worms, our twin team, Worms in Germany. Since the club went over there in 2004, I think it's a group of supporters. You've got to know most of the names better than I do, Jake. I've been over about 7 times and got a good relationship with Worms. And they got some special scarves made up a little while ago. It's got St Albans City on one side, got Worms on the other side, and it's terrific. And it says, because I speak fluent German,
fluent something.
What does that say? Something beyond. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, and it's a great little thing. So thanks to Lewis. It's a wonderful little scarf, and you'll be seeing a bit more of it on here in weeks to come. Right, and now that kicks off an international flavour for the rest of the thing, doesn't it? Come on, then. Tell me what your idea was, then, Lee, for today's programme.
Oh, I was just chatting to a few supporters, and with the World Cup currently being on our television screens, we were deliberating about Saints players, former Saints players who have had international honours in some way, shape, or form, and could we, between us three, come up with our best Saints international 11?
Have you got a goalkeeper?
I've got the best goalkeeper the club has ever had, my friend.
Jake and his 6-a-side team.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to start off. Full international, Tony Roberts. Welsh
I knew you
international.
were going to say Tony Roberts. Yeah.
Who is also currently the Welsh national team goalkeeping coach. I mean, you tell me a better goalkeeper than Tony Roberts.
Paul Bastock played for England C.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, we all love Bazza, don't we? We all love Bazza, but I think even that is scraping the proverbial barrel compared to full international caps. Tabs?
Well, yes, you're going to win it with that one, by the way. But your other alternatives to look at, to a bit of competition. Dean Snedker played for the FA. Back in the 1920s, we had a Kiwi goalkeeper, a guy called Innes Tennant, who's also a magnificent singer, apparently. But he didn't play for New Zealand. He's just from New Zealand. And around about 1960-ish, we had a Spanish goalkeeper, Joe Fuentes, who was on the books of Luton as well. Again, they didn't play for their countries, but just trying to give you a bit of competition for Tony Roberts there. So, right, we'll go with that then.
Oh, I think that set the bar far too high.
That was the plan. Although listening to Tavs' little, piece there, I'm now just, not going to be enjoying the next 10 minutes of listening to him wheeling out has-beens from 1920. So, well, off we go then.
Well, go on. While you two have been watching the club, we've had two players capped at full international level while they've been playing for St Albans City.
James Comley.
What? Exactly, yes, for Montserrat. A couple of games for them. Went on to make 18 appearances in the end, I think.
Didn't Sean Lucian play for someone? Well, I just made that.
Aware. There's no way you remember the other one. Back in 2012, this guy, Anton Blackwood, former Tottenham kid, who's now working for Tottenham out in Asia, actually. He signed for us. He was with us for months, didn't play for us, went off and played for somebody who's pinched me notes.
Oh God!
Oh no, I've been robbed. I don't know what's going on there today. Oh, here it is. He played for Antigua and Barbuda against Trinidad and Tobago, and then after that he played his one appearance for us, Anton Blackwood. So he was a current international, so we've got to have him in the back four.
Interesting.
And James Comley can play in defence, so we stick Combs in defence as well. Beyond that, go on then.
I had another one potentially for defender. He did play there occasionally. It was Omar Beckles. I think he's made 7. Well, he's had 7 caps for Granada, I believe, off of a bit of research earlier today. So potentially him instead of maybe Comley.
So we could put Omar in the back and put Combs in the centre.
Yeah. I think you've got to put Combs in his natural sort of, haven't you? Really.
I've got the perfect partner to go with Omar at the back. Again, full international, captain as well of his country. Chris Zoricic, New Zealand full international. This is
I thought you'd get him, Lee. I thought you'd get him.
Absolutely. What a player, though, as well. Yeah. I remember interviewing him for the Matchday magazine a few years ago when he was in charge of the New Zealand football side in the Olympics. And Eamesy put me in touch with him, and what a nice fella. And he holds his time at City with the highest regard. He really does. Yeah, he had a great time here. But what a player as well. Really tough. Absolute tough as nails. He's got to be in there, surely, unless you come up with another centre-back, mate.
Well, I was wondering, I mean, we got 3 potentially defenders at the minute, including Blackwood. Have we got one more? Potentially, have we got a full-back? And then I was struggling to think of full-backs. I couldn't think of any at all.
So I've got a couple. Well, go on, Tabs. Go on, mate.
No, go on.
Right back. I don't think he played right back for the club here, but he did play right back. Paul Price, Welsh international. He played right back, I believe, for Luton. And here's one. It's a struggle, Tabs, but bear with me. He was under 17 honours on the left-hand side of defence, right? USA, Beckett Hollenbach. Now, Jake's gonna...
Yes.
Jake's won't have a clue who we're talking about. He's a good little player. Really good little player.
Interesting.
You could stick Barry King in there probably as well. Early 60s, England amateur international.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got about 5 caps with us. Got some more when he went to Hitchin Town as well. So it's not full England international, but that'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are we going to go for then? So we've got Roberts in goal.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Zoricic and Beckles.
Yeah,
at the back. Tabs, you're glad to be like
Anton Blackwood. Anton Blackwood,
and then one other defender, maybe Paul Price, if we want.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, awesome.
Well, you got your captain sorted out there because he was captain of Wales.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
although it was a long time before he joined us, but we'll pinch him and have him.
And then I think in midfield, I think we started with Comley, haven't we?
Yeah.
I've got a couple of halfbacks for you as well.
What's a halfback?
Well, we had him before the First World War. Arthur Grimsdale.
Arthur Grimsdale? You just made that up?
No, then he joined Watford from us. And after that, he joined Tottenham. And he captained them in the 21 Cup final against Wolverhampton Wanderers. And leading the Wolves attack with George Edmonds, who also started with us and then took the same route, Watford, then Wolves. But Grimsdale went on to captain England, the full England team. So he's got to be in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that is a story and a half, that is, Tabs.
And he ran a shop in, basically a sweet shop in Watford for the rest of his life once he stopped playing. And also his brother, Ernest Grimsdale, was an amateur England international.
What a story.
There you go.
Finally, we found a use for Dave.
See? Who says we don't teach you anything on here, eh? This is outrageous. Right, so coming in.
Go on then.
So I'm struggling for midfielders. I won't lie.
So I've got a name that will shock you. Kieran Monlouis.
Kieran Monlouis.
He's got 2 caps for St. Lucia.
Mate, I've got 2 caps for St. Lucia. They dish those out like Kinder eggs, mate. Seriously.
Well, I think I was reading it came in around 2019, which wasn't long after he'd left us. But I'm sure we can find a better midfielder, surely.
Well, another St. Lucian international was what's his name? It jumps out of my head now. Was David Howe's assistant, Ken Charlery.
Oh yeah.
I know he didn't actually play for us, did he? But
yeah.
All right, we'll have him as coach.
Yeah. On the left.
Well, I can give you another right half.
Yeah.
Again, we're going back to pre-First World War, about 1909. This one. A player called Ken Fayers played for the amateur England sides. You sometimes see his internationals all listed as Watford, which isn't true. His first one was gained when he was on our book still. But again, that's amateur international rather than full international.
Not bad, guys. Okay.
I think let's bypass the midfield for the middle. in true Richie Hanlon style, let's bypass the midfield, and we're going to focus on some strikers because I've got some crackers, mate. I've got some crackers now. Wilfred, obviously.
Well, why?
Well, you tell me. I'm setting this up for you now, mate. Come on.
Right, England amateur international, 3 caps,
which
all City supporters should know. But in when was it? April 1923, he was selected for the full England side because up until the mid-20s, that wasn't a rare event. I think Edgar Cale at Dulwich Hamlet was the last amateur international played for the full England side. Minter was selected to play a couple of games out in Sweden because head of the international selection committee at the time was George Wagstaff Simmons, founder of St Albans City. So it's nice to have friends in the right places. But it was obviously a couple of busy Saturdays coming up for Minter, and he turned it down. So he turned down his one chance at playing for the full England side. How criminal is that? So we definitely have him in there.
Absolutely. Cool.
Yes, out of pure romantic element to it. But I've got 3 here. Actually, I've got 5. But I've got 3 full internationals.
Yeah.
So Brian Steen, full international, scored 50-odd goals in one season along with Clarkey. He's got to be up there, or at least in with a shout. A blast from the past for you here, Tavs. Full international, Amara Simba, French international.
Oh, yeah.
Played in the same team as Zidane and Ginola and Cantona and all of that. Didn't play a lot for us, but he's still a full international. Played for
12 games, 9 goals for us. I interviewed him once, didn't understand a word he sent.
To be honest with you, mate, that's not a prerequisite. The thing is, though, was it 9 goals in 12 games? What a return! What a return!
Brian Steen, yeah, you're right. His record wasn't too bad. 42 games in 94, 95, 32 goals.
Not bad.
I mean, I've got another one here as well, a bit more recent. Craig McCall-Smith. Now, there was, I think it was a European qualifier a number of years ago now, where Wales played Scotland. And up front was former Saint James Morrison for Wales, and up front for Scotland was Craig McCall-Smith.
Oh.
So that was a nice little sort of city touch looking on that game. But Lee Clark can also get a mention as well. Northern Ireland under 21s. I don't know who you've got on there, Jake.
Well, I was mainly Lee Clark, to be honest, was the one I thought. I mean, I was just looking at Amara Simba online, and it sounds like he was very close to being in the French squad for Euro '92, but he got an injury which prevented him, and that was that. So, but I think it's tricky, isn't it? It's actually quite a plethora of choices there. It's really
surprisingly
difficult
as well, isn't it? There's no midfielders. We're going to go full on Cochrane. We're going to have like 3 at the back and then 8.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go back for the old W formation, 2-3-5, 5 up front, and off we go. You're picking. Obviously, some players picked there because they were international before they joined us. I want another one for forward for you, who went from us and became an international later. He went from us to Charlton and Chelsea. Harold Miller, back in the 1920s again.
I've also got a more recent one, and he wouldn't get into this team, but just to mention him, Lewis Gordon, who was on loan from Watford a couple of years ago. I think he's appeared for Scotland at most youth levels now. And I also wanted to mention that he's at Bristol Rovers with another former Saint, and they're both playing, a certain Harry Anderson. So there's 2 Saints in that former Saints in that Bristol Rovers team at the minute, which was a real surprise to me. But I think in the forward areas, I think you've got to have Billy Minter, haven't you, as one. And then I think it's a choice of probably 2 others if we're going for a 4-3-3.
Yeah. Obviously, if anyone else watching has got anyone else who we've missed off, please do message us or email us in, because we know we're going to miss off quite a few people, but this was just really off the top of our heads. It would be really interesting. But Dave, you must have got a little nugget left in the bank there, mate. You must have someone from 1913 who hasn't quite made the cut yet.
Well, you got there were 3 Miller brothers played for us. The other 2 were Redvers, who also played a game for Watford, and Herbert Edwin James Miller, I think he was, known as Ted. Again, amateur international. So you might have a Miller family, so you save on travelling costs there.
Do we need to mention as well, manager-wise, Frank Sue?
Well, you could do. Wartime international, wasn't he?
Yeah,
with England?
he could compete with Ken Charlery for the manager spot.
All right, well, if you're going to do that, then you may as well have the great Bobby Moore, who was our president. Was he? What was he, Tabs?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, he was like
vice president, one of those ones.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. But cause he was in business with John Mitchell Moore Associates, and they got him involved. He got him heavily involved, as you remember, Lee, with that Panini match, a Dream Fight game in 1980, September '89. Some of the fantastic. Can we claim Beckenbauer as one of ours?
I was going to say, if the prerequisite they've played at Clarence Park, I think that match fills it out, didn't it?
I think we're scraping the barrel now, fellas. I think we're going to knock this last little experiment on the head. Otherwise, we're going to end up in all sorts of mess.
I think what we've proved is you can get more than a Saints 11. You can pretty much get a Saints 11 and substitutes out of this, which is not bad going. And I'm genuinely shocked by the Bobby Moore news. I can't believe we've never mentioned this before. This is amazing.
We just thought it was given that every fan should know it, mate.
It's embarrassing, Jake's lack of knowledge. I agree with you there, Lee. Of course, he was a former manager of Oxford City as well.
Dear me. Thanks for that, Dave. Well, there we go. I think that was a fun little experiment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think we did quite well. But as Lee said, if there's anyone that anyone can think of, and I suspect there's probably quite a few more, do send us a tweet or an email. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you.
And next week, the worst Saints 11 ever.
11?
Oh, dearie me.
You're going to pull out some absolute random fella from 1962, aren't you, Tavs?
Well, the best players play for their reserves. We know that.
Oh, well,
Here
says it all, doesn't it?
Right.
On that note, I think we can say thank you very much for watching. Do tweet us and email us. Oh, Dave's got something to say. Hold on.
As mentioned earlier, don't forget, if you are going to Dover, it is a 12:30 kickoff, so leave plenty of time.
Yeah, yes, and we will speak to you again next week. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.